It's after 9 o'clock. Welcome back. And this hour of news and views is sponsored by African Muslims Agency. African Muslims Agency, a beacon of hope to communities for over 35 years in Africa and beyond. We're now going to be crossing over to the Western Cape, and we'll be talking with someone called Tara. And we do understand that residents of the gang-plagued Cape Town suburb of Manenberg marched to the local police station on Saturday to demand action against rampant gangsterism and drug use within their community, which is causing absolute havoc. Let's talk to Tara. She is an activist based in Manenberg. Very good morning to you. Welcome to the program, Tara. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Thanks. Sorry for that.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I was asked to speak about the brutality of SAPS and law enforcement in particular, and because of the action in Lavendale. So the march that was held last Saturday by people in the community of Manenberg was more led by a particular political party. So the broader community didn't necessarily participate in that march. So yeah, I would like to highlight the issues around the concerns that we as activists on the Cape Flats have around the brutality of SAPS and law enforcement since the 23rd of September on the Lavender community. Thanks.
Why? What is your understanding about the brutality that is being focused on this particular community in Lavender Hills? I saw a video, a TikTok posting over the weekend where there were pictures of youth. I think they're probably young teenagers or maybe even younger. They were brutalized by police. They were beaten up so badly. I saw pictures of their bodies that was absolutely purple with all the beating. Now, are the police focusing on innocent civilians, whereas they should be focusing their attention on wiping out gangsterism and drug trafficking in the area, which clearly seems not to be happening?
Yeah, I think that is exactly the concern that the community have, or the people in communities have, is that the urgency to address the type of gang violence and the rage of drugs in our communities are not being addressed. In our view, that is that the police are in agreement with the state somehow that gangsterism or gang violence in particular and the scourge of drugs is something that needs to be part of society, and therefore they're not putting the attention to these issues in community that's destroying our communities, and they focus on where people are organized for social and political purposes, in terms of the oppression that people are faced with. That police and law enforcement will more come out to attack people on those issues instead of um, s- s- uh, put the attention, like we will say, put the attention to the crime issues. And so in my opinion and view is that if we look at the brief of law or SEPs since 1912, they were clearly being established to enforce the 1913 Land Act, and that the brief didn't change, and we were misled all the years that they are there for our safety, but they're actually there for private purposes and for private purposes. If I say private, it's for property purposes, because and businesses, if anything happen around business hubs, police and law enforcement are activated um, within seconds they're there. They make sure that the intelligence are the best. But when it comes to the community issues, in terms of the issues that community are faced with, um, then the crime prevention type of approach is missing, is totally missing. They have these nice names and statements in media, but actually there's no recourse in terms of how they align the resources to address these issues in our communities. So
So to me,
we, yeah,
carry on.
so we are clear that the status of SAPS and law enforcement is not in the interest, is not been set up in the interest of getting rid of crime. Um, I mean, if I just look in Manenberg itself, that we have a clear public um, understanding of how gangs were recruited within the public domain to have legal entities participating out of the public coffers. And SAPS knows about it, law enforcement, because the city of Cape Town actually invited the gangs into what they call the business forums. And now they have more power than ever. And so the gangs are now participating in all levels and all levels of society with the understanding that they can benefit from everything. But it's been legalized through the, the, the forums that the government is facilitating. So we also have the opinion that because of that, that the government and the gangs are actually working together to ensure that violence are being still in our community, and there's some form of partnership. We just don't have the physical evidence to prove it, except the one where we can say that the city of Cape Town was part of recruiting the gangs into the formalization of to benefit from the opportunities from the public pot. And therefore, in our view, as community, they are sitting, the gangs are sitting with much more resources than ever. And they feel entitled, more entitled than ever in our communities. So we feel that um, the fact that we are made believe that SAPS and law enforcement is there to protect our people is a false institution invented, uh, but in actual fact they are working together.
Okay, so as I understand it, it seems as if the city of Cape Town had originally tried to get the gangs on board to possibly rehabilitate them, but that has not in fact happened. So the gangs are benefiting from the business forums that they're sitting on, and they continue to participate in their nefarious activities within the townships. So they just feel that much more strengthened in their efforts to carry out their gangsterism. And that
Mm.
does sound a very nefarious situation. How do you believe you should be going forward as an activist in Manenberg? Not only you singularly, but as a united group. How can you tackle this problem? Because as we know, government seems to be paralyzed as far as township residents are concerned. And it's up to us as civilians in the townships to start making our voices and our actions heard. How are you going to move forward on this?
Okay, so we clearly, in our view, we see ourselves as equals to the government and the state, and therefore we said that if the state and government itself look at Section 17, it gives people the right to protest when they're unhappy, to picket and to prevent petitions, protect to the rights to freedom of assembly and protest. And even within the Gatherings Act, police may only use force as a last resort, appellate procedures and demonstrate tolerance to the people involved in the protest. That those things that they are not adhering to, even after they report that they in the this year in January, SAPS was saying that they continuously researching and updating training material in respect of techniques and equipment in using during crowd management to minimize the risk of human rights violation and prevent the excessive use of force. But yet we see the opposite is happening. And so we feel that because the uprising, or not the uprising, but the people went to protest because of meter related cost issues, which is clearly a economic apartheid issue that we are faced with. And the city of Cape Town, or the people in the city of Cape Town, is paying the highest hike in in um in South Africa, and your Eastern Cape is paying the less. So what we are saying is that there's a clear attention to ensure that our people are not going to be able to afford anything anymore, and that the economic apartheid practices from the state, or the abuse, and the city of Cape Town in particular, is creating a environment where people will not be able to participate in economic activities any longer. So what we are saying is that those fines that the city of Cape Town given the people of 8,000 rand without criminal procedures, without implementing the Criminal Procedures Act, but they enforce a bylaw um, that now replacing the CPA, the Criminal Procedures Act, and the city of Cape Town is now the investigators and prosecutors and the judge, that the city of Cape Town is to be charged for these violations, and that the responsibility of the people's participation is now reduced to the bylaw enforced, which is formalized and understood and enforced by politicians. So
Okay,
section one,
I'll have to leave it
yeah,
there. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. We will catch up with you sometime soon to hear what progress you and your other fellow activists has made in this regard. I'm so sorry, but we have to leave it there. Thank you for your time on the show this morning. And of course, it is moving along. It is 14 minutes after 9 o'clock. News and views. We'll be taking an ad break. And when we get back, we'll be talking with Ibrahim Tembisa Fakude regarding the situation playing out in Yemen as we speak.
thank you.